What's going on, guys? Devin Gage from Gage Strength Training coming at you with a baseball tip of the week. So what I want to talk to you guys today is about the hips and the glutes, and how the exercises that I'm going to show you are really going to help you out and teach you how to hit farther and throw harder. So I'm going to talk to you guys about opening up your hips. A lot of times young athletes have really tight hips. They have tight hip flexors and tight glutes, and that's caused by them sitting in a desk all day, driving a car all day. You know, the hip flexors get compressed. They're not used to being opened and extended. So I'm going to teach you the importance of having those hips open, and I'm going to show you the exercises to do that and how it's going to benefit you. So when you think of swinging a baseball bat, when you're standing in the box, the first motion is, if your coach has been telling you, is you got to start with the hips. Start with the hips, the hands are going to follow. If you've got super tight hips and your glutes aren't activated, you are not going to be able to get full extension in those hips. When you finish, you should be pivoting, full extension, your hips should be totally open, and you're going to be able to hit the crap out of that ball. So that is one aspect of the hips and glute activation exercises that I'm going to show you. And what that's going to do is going to teach you to open up the hips, really get a full extension on that swing, and really put some power behind that baseball bat. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the importance of activating your glutes. Your glutes, which are your butt muscle, take some activation exercises to really warm up. So when you're doing your warm-ups for baseball, you want to get out of the mindset that you're stretching your glutes, and you want to put yourself more in the mindset that you're activating them. These are a muscle that can be easily overtaken by the low back and the hamstring, but you really want to optimize. It's one of the biggest muscles in your body, and you really want to be able to activate these glutes to really get them firing for action. When you think about the glutes in action, you want to think about two motions as a pitcher. The first one is you want to make sure your hips are loose and tight, because when you're coming in your delivery and you're bringing those hips up, you want to be nice and loose so there's no hindrance. If you have any tightness in the glutes, you're not going to be able to get that knee up. You're not going to have good range of motion. If your glutes are not activated, when you're in that delivery and you're pressing off that back leg, the glute is going to be the main mover that's going to get you that explosive hip drive and hurling that ball off the mound. So you want to open up the hips and the glutes, loosen up the glutes, and then activate them. So I'm going to show you a couple great warm-ups and exercises that you can do to open up the hips and activate the glutes. So check it out. All right, guys. First exercise I'm going to show you to loosen up the glutes and open up the hips is going to be done with a lacrosse ball. This is going to be a fascial release. A lot of times the tightness in a glute muscle comes from the fascia, which is a connective tissue. It gets very stiff and rigid. You want to break that up before you start stretching. So here's the stretch I'm going to show you. It's just going to be a glute myofascial release, which is basically a self-massage. So you're going to put a lacrosse ball or a baseball, tennis ball. Tennis ball might be a little bit more comfortable on the ground. And you're going to start on the right side. You're going to take your right foot, put it over your left knee, and you're going to put that lacrosse ball right on top of your glute. You're going to put your glute right on top, and you're going to roll over. You're going to find tight spots. Those are called trigger points. You really want to find those spots and kind of massage those out, especially in the piriformis and the glute. The piriformis is right on the side. You really want to find those spots and hit those small circles over those spots. That's going to break up that fascia, and it's going to get you ready to loosen those glutes up and activate them as well. So once you hit that with the lacrosse ball and really loosen that fascia up, I'm going to show you a couple stretches and activation exercises. All right, guys, here's a warm-up exercise. It's really going to help open up your hips and stretch your glutes. So what you're going to do is you're going to start in a reverse lunge. So you're going to step back and down. Really, you're going to feel that in the hip flexors on both legs. And you're going to reach down, keeping the back leg as straight as possible. You're going to feel that stretch right in the hip flexors. So hold that for about 5-10 seconds. Once you hold that for about, you're going to bring the front leg out, your fingers on the ground, and you're going to stretch the front hamstring and the back hip flexor by really leaning into that for about 5-10 seconds. After that, that front leg, you're going to drop it right across the front. When you do that, you see right here, drop it right across the front, back leg straight. Sit into that, and you're going to keep that back leg straight. Really stretch that glute out. That's really going to help open up your hips. Do that for about 2 or 3 reps, 2 or 3 rounds on each side. That's really going to help loosen up your hips and get you ready to play. Next, I'm going to show you a couple glute activation exercises. All right, guys. Last thing I'm going to show you is a couple activation exercises for your glutes. Now remember, you're going to include these into your warm-up, but I don't want you guys to think of stretching as your warm-up to prepare. You want to think of warming up the exercises, the movement patterns, and activating certain muscles. The glute is one that really needs to be activated. So here's a couple exercises. So you're going to go down on your hands and knees. First one is just going to be called the bird dog. So you're going to raise your right arm and point your back leg, keeping your lower back flat, your chest down, just like that. When you do this exercise, really focus on squeezing your glute rather than your lower back. You want all the motion to be in your glute rather than your lower back. So squeeze the glute, reach the arm out, and alternate. Next one is going to be called the fire hydrant. Just like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. You're going to keep your back flat, your hips in the same position, and you're just going to lift your glute. Now what happens to a lot of people, and you're probably going to notice this, is when they lift the leg, they shoot the hips out to the side just like that. Pretend there's a sheet of glass on your lower back that if you tilt your hips, it's going to slip right off and break. You want to keep your hips in the same position, completely flat the whole time, and just squeeze the glute to lift the leg. So you're probably not going to get too much height on this. So when you lift, that's where you want to be. I feel this in my glute. I'm not shifting my hips. I've got, if there was a sheet of glass in my hips, it would not slide off. The last one I'm going to show you, the last couple I'm going to show you, is a straight leg fire hydrant, which is basically the same motion, except your leg's going to start straight, just barely lifting it off the ground, activating the glute that way, and you bent leg glute raise. So lower back flat, legs going to stay bent, heel up towards the ceiling, squeezing the glute to elevate the leg. So bring it back down. Good. These exercises are going to activate your glutes. So especially as a pitcher, or somebody making a throw from the outfield or even from the infield, you're going to have that much more power because your glutes are going to be activated. You're not just going to be pressing through your hamstrings and your quads. You're going to be pressing off that glute, firing off that glute. You're going to have a lot more power. Your hips are going to be open from the exercises. When you're at the plate, you're going to be able to fire those hips through, power off the glute, and swing those hips wide open because your hips are going to be nice and loose and open. So I hope this helps. Incorporate these into your warm-up, especially the activation exercises. Do about 5 to 10 of each of the activation exercises I showed you, and you're going to be looking good.